Hey everybody, this is Ben with We Go Fishing, and today I'm going to be talking about 5 jetty fishing tips. 5 jetty fishing tips. And so here we go. Number 5, consider a net. Consider a net. I see a lot of people going out on the jetties and they're just not prepared to fish. They don't have a net. They get a big fish. They can't get it up. I've helped people myself. I've taken a net down to them because they have a fish that they can't land. There are some fish that you can just take and you just flip them right up onto the jetty. But then there's some fish that are bigger. You can't get them in. Big black drum, big red, something like that. Fish that aren't hooked as well, and you can't just flip those up. And so you need a net. The one that we have is probably maybe not the best one. It's just what I had laying around. I had this old net, and so I took that net and I drilled a hole in an aluminum pole that I had and stuck that on the end with a butterfly nut, and it works pretty good. There are more fancy ones that do extensions and all of that. I won't use the brand name, but I did have one of the extending nets at one point in time, and I went down to help a guy get a massive black drum in, and when I did that, it actually bent the pole. And so I said, you know what, I don't know if this is any good. So I actually returned it, and that's when I got this one, because it works well for us. So the 5th one, consider a net. I think it'll help you. They don't take up a lot of room, especially if you get one of the collapsible ones. They don't really take up a lot of room, so consider a net. Number 4, travel light. Travel light. Don't take stuff you don't need. So many fishermen take their entire tackle box with them when they go jetty fishing, and there's so many different things in there that they're just never going to use on the jetties. And so it's important just to take what you need. Take the tackle you need. I try to reduce it to 2 or 3 of these types of bins. These bins are great. These are Planos. I don't get any endorsement money, but Plano, if you're listening, I love the endorsement. But anyway, these are great because they're locking, they're waterproof. They go very nicely. I put 2 or 3 of them in a backpack bag that I have. This backpack bag, you can see it fits a whole bunch of stuff in it. First aid kit, very important. So it fits a lot of stuff. It has hooks on the back for your fish grips and measuring tape and all that stuff. So travel light. Don't take a lot of tackle that you don't need. Make sure that you are taking the things that you're going to use. Take some pre-made leaders. This is one of the things I do. This is a little pool noodle that I cut off. I pre-make my leaders before I go out. You're going to get snagged, so be prepared for that. Know that's going to happen. Another thing is, don't forget water. I see a lot of guys who go out there, they don't have water with them. You can get dehydrated easy. We're in South Texas, so the sun down here is ridiculous. So take that. Don't forget your fishing license too. That is also very, very important. Also, one of the things that we take, instead of taking a big old cooler down the jetties, especially like the Port Aransas jetty, some of the other jetties, instead of taking that big old cooler down, fish bag, $5 at Walmart. Fill it with some ice, take it down there. It'll keep your fish nice and cool. You can use a stringer, I guess, too, but this is one way that you can do it. It's very, very easy. So don't forget water. Take the tackle you need. Take a fish bag, maybe instead of a cooler, and then travel as light as possible. Number 3, footwear. Footwear. This is something we had to learn the hard lesson on. My wife, this last year, maybe it was early this year or late last year, she went down on the rocks. She thought she was secure down on the rocks, but then she slipped. And she actually busts up her Apple Watch, and she scraped herself up real good because the rocks can be very, very slippery. If you see a wet rock, assume it's a slippery rock. Algae's always bad, so just be aware of that. Have proper footwear. Footwear matters. This is what we just got. We got these are Chacos. These are great, nice bottoms on them. Again, not sponsored by Chacos. I get nothing for saying this, but these are great. They attach very firmly to your foot. I've seen people use fishing boots, soft-soled wading boots, but they're like the half ankle size. I've seen those as well. In my experience, tennis shoes don't work all that well. Flip-flops don't work all that well. Definitely not flip-flops, because flip-flops come off your feet. You don't want that. You want something that secures to your foot. So be aware of that. Have the right footwear. I think that's a very important thing. It might save you from slipping off the rocks, from going into the water. Number 2, prepare to get snagged. I already mentioned this when we were talking about the tackle, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, but prepare to get snagged. It is going to happen. You are fishing in the rocks. If you don't want to lose the lure, don't fish with the lure. That's one of those things. Again, I pre-make some leader lines. We go fishing as a family. So with the kids, they might get snagged up. They're not really always paying attention to what's going on, and maybe they float the bobber a little bit too close to the rocks. They get it snagged, they break it off. It's gonna happen. You're on the jetties, the rocks are there, you're gonna get snagged. So be prepared for that. Think about that. Learn some different techniques to get unsnagged. Maybe you need to learn how to pop a hook. So I'm slapping the bottom of the rod to try and unhook it. Maybe you can let it go out with the tide a little bit and see if you can get it undone that way. But maybe it's a good thing to do some research on what am I going to do when I get snagged, because it's probably going to happen. Number one, wind matters. Wind matters. This sounds something that is basic to fishing, but the wind on a jetty really matters. It's going to determine whether or not you can throw on certain sides of the jetty. It's going to determine what side of the jetty to fish. It's going to determine what jetty to fish, because some jetties are facing different directions, and depending on the direction of the wind that's coming in, it's going to play with that, and it's going to push the currents, and it's going to push it up. You don't always have to go to the end of the jetties to catch fish. I know a lot of people say, oh, big fish at the end of the jetties. Not always. You don't always have to do that. And the wind really matters. I have a couple of different apps that I use. You can find them. One's called Windy, and it's a wind forecasting app, and it's very accurate. It's very good. Really like that. Helps me determine where to go kayak fishing or jetty fishing or what we're going to do. That one. Also Weather Underground, another site that has the wind and the wind directions, and those are very, very helpful things. So I'm going to put all these things down in the links below. I'll put some links to some of the things that I use on the jetties when we go fishing. Again, I don't get any pay for any of this stuff, but I want to give you these tips because I think they're very important. If maybe you've learned some things as you've done your fishing, maybe you've learned some things, put your comments in the comment section below, because I'd love to learn and to see what works for you, what doesn't work for you. If you like this video and you made it this far through the video, make sure you give us a thumbs up. That really does help us in the rankings. If you've not subscribed yet and you like this kind of content, hit the subscribe button. Also hit the notifications button to get notified when things go live. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and may you always catch your limit.